Okay. So now if you remember, all the properties that were discussed before this lecture are easy property and easily understandable properties. And keep in mind that the properties that we are studying are exactly, if you remember, it is not only closed under only infinite union. Okay, in all the other closure properties, regular language is always closed. Okay, so other properties, regular language is always closed. Keep that in mind. Because regular language is most basic language, so it is always closed under all the operators. So this is the most easiest one, and you will find it and anyway. Okay, so we have studied reversal. If you remember reversal, you have to follow this step, and I've told you that what you do, you just replace the initial with final and final with initial and reverse the arrow. By reversing the arrow, you will also find in a situation when you are given a DFA, and by following that procedure, it will be possible that by reversing it, it will be converted into an NFA. So that scenario is also possible. In the same way, there is another property called a homomorphism. Okay, so the definition of the informal definition is like kind of a given here. It is saying that for every symbol, if you substitute a string from another, so keep in mind we are talking about a string from another language. Okay, so from another alphabet, I will say we are only talking about a string. I am not substituting any other different language, but I am substituting a string in place of this input alphabet. Okay, that is your homomorphism, and that is also closed under regular language. In a similar way, inverse homomorphism, it is the inverse of what we are doing. So what exactly is happening here? If you see that in homomorphism, you will substitute a string in the input alphabet, and suppose that particular thing is your input alphabet is called your epsilon sigma, and another input symbol from other language is called your delta here. So that is also an input alphabet, but it is different input symbol. Okay, so now what we do, we in homomorphism scenario, we take a input symbol and substitute the strings of this input symbol. But what happens in inverse homomorphism, we take the symbol that belongs to other language, and from that language we try to extract out the input string here. That is our main input string here. So this is other part, and this is your input string. And in that scenario, if you will be able to clearly see that we can get multiple strings. Okay, so if h of 0 is given as a, h of 1 is given as ab, and h of 2 is given as ba, you will find that if I am given a language that involves delta here, so delta is other language, and in that you will able to see that we will get different inverse homomorphism. We will get different corresponding string that is belonging to this language. So you have to write all the things. Okay, so that is the main part. In inverse homomorphism, the strings can increase. Keep that thing in mind. Okay, so we have also proved that we can write a regular expression for this one, all this particular language. So it is again closed under all the operators in this one. Okay, so keep that thing in mind. Okay, so I just want to add one point more. If you are thinking about it, uh, just let me see if I can add one more point in this. uh, Okay, so if I just say so for another example, I just add one more example in this, that H inverse L belongs to 1. Okay, so some kind of a thing that is given here, that I have to derive that H inverse of L. Now this one I'm talking about, that we have extracted out the string. So it means that inverse homomorphism, we have got the answer. So I am talking about that inverse homomorphism of a particular language. I will say of this L is only 1. So suppose some kind of a scenario occurs like this. Now when I again take the homomorphism, so this is inverse homomorphism. So by again reversing it, can I find another example? So just let me think about, because I'm not talking about it clearly. So just wait for this one. Okay, so uh, because the example is not complete, just let me take another example. Okay, so again remember, I will get back to it. Don't worry about that. So So for a right quotient, if you remember, only you have to take care of the right number of the what you call it, the right strings. Okay, so if the right strings are matched, you just delete that part. Okay, so this is your L1 and this is divided by L2. So what you do, whatever is in the right, you just take out that string. Okay, so 0 1 and 0 1, you find it at the right, you replace it with epsilon, and 0 1 you find it there right, you just replace take it out and put as 0 here only, and 0 1 is here. So in that scenario where something is not available at the right one, so like this scenario, in this one this is nothing, so you just do not include this in the set here. Okay, so it can be also a scenario that 1 1 1 1 0 can also be be what you called by taking a right quotient with that one, but this is not 0 1 is not common here. So don't think that you will only take one from here. So the whole string has to be come at the right. If the whole string is not at the right, you just leave that as it is. So there is nothing be included in the language set. Keep that thing in mind. Okay, so now now we are again, the remaining strings are something, the remaining part, the remaining properties are, so just let me start week 8 lecture 1. Okay, so in this one, another property is init property, init. Okay, so init operation, again, this operation is also closed under regular uh, irregular expression. So why I am
Sir,
discussing these properties? Yes, yes.
sir, in right quotient, if L2 had more than one strings, then how would the how would it work?
If L2 has more than in the previous example, this one, yes.
Yes, in the right quotient, if L2 had more strings, more than one.
Okay, so if suppose this L2 has this kind of a string 0 0 0 0 1. Okay, so this is greater than this L1. So what I do, I just take this one and take this 0 0 0 0 1. Okay, so again I am not able to find the whole string in the right of this expression. You should this is again nothing. So you should not include anything in the language set. Okay, so if it is greater than L1, the L2 is greater than L1, that is exactly there will be this is exact that all the strings will not be found at the right hand side of the L1 language. So you just write the set which only contains nothing. So that will be your phi set. Okay,
Sir,
you have to take care of. Mhm. Yes, yes.
I'm getting the impression that the right quotient is not defined when L2 has more than one strings. Like I was not referring to its greater string, but as more than one strings, like 0 1 or 1 0 and 1 1 0 and 1 1 1
Okay,
0.
okay. Okay, okay. So you are talking about this one. 0 1 followed by suppose 0 1 and then 1 0. Yeah, that is a legit question here. So what you do, if the number of length is greater than this one, so just I give you example with that. Just what I just wait for a minute. I'm thinking about a language. Okay, suppose this is your language set. Okay, so I have specifically given you a language set, but again it can also be given in the form of what I call a regular expression. Okay, so 0 0 something like that. This language set for L1 is given like this. Okay, so 1 0. Okay, now our L2 contains a language set of 0 1 and 1 0. So I think you're talking about this one. Okay, so what you do, you take one language set from this one string from this one. So 0 0 1 and 0 1. So you got what you got 0. So include this L1 by L2 0 here, and take this one also 1 0 0 0 1 and 1 0. Okay, so you will get nothing from here. So do not include that. In the same way, take this one per time and take this one time. So that will be a solution. Okay, this is the question you are asking, I think.
Yes, yes, so got it.
Okay. So again, I also again, if I just give you another legit example, like L1 is equal to something like 0 L0 1 star, and L2 is equal to, like, now here if I just say it like this, but you can do this question yourself. Something like this 0 0 1 star. Okay, so now the number of L2s will be greater than here, but this is also an infinite set and this is also an infinite set. In that case, there will be a problem here, because how can you include you do not this is kind of a I will not know about this, because this is again an infinite set, and when I'm dividing infinite set with infinite set, I will not be sure that what exactly is the answer. So you have to journalize it with the regular expression, that whatever you are getting by dividing this one. Okay, so most of you will be thinking that if I divide this L1 by L2 and 1 0 star 1, if I just replace this one, also I will if I do something like this, that 0 1. Okay, so most of you will be thinking that I will delete this one with this one and I will get a 1, but it is not the case. Okay, so what you do, you take out the languages set from this one and take out the language set from this one. Okay, so again I solve you this one. Okay, so I just now this is your now this is a very good question, so I just want to stress you more because you have asked it. So if some this kind of example is given, now you're clearly seeing what is happening in that the L2 language is also in the form of infinite strings, so that is raised to power star. So most of you will be thinking, if I just take a L1 by L2, now it will make more sense that if divided by 101 and 0 star 1. So most of you will be thinking the answer will be 1. But again, do not just by doing this, you will get the answer. Just see it yourself by deriving the language. Okay, so I derive the language L1. So L1, the smallest language will be 11101, something like 1001 and 10001. Something like this. Okay, in the similar way, L2 you will get a 1 here, and 0 1 you can get any number of zeros can get 1, and then you will get 0 0 0. Okay, so now what you have to do, now take this one and divide it by this one. So I just call it as L1 by L2. Now take this one and divide it by this, you will get a 1 here, and again if you divide this 0 1, you will get a 1 from here, this 0 0 1 0 0 1 you will get a 1 from here, and this again you are getting a one lot of ones from here. Again you can go with ahead with another strings like 0 1 and 0 1, you will get a 1 0 from here, this one and this one, and you will go with this one, you will get a 1 0 0, and you will go with this one also, you will get a 0 0 0 1. Okay, so I think, yeah. Okay, so it is, if you thinking that the resultant language is 1 star or only 1, you are clearly seeing from the language set that this is not a 1 you are getting. Okay, so it is a different language set, and keep in mind that it can also happen. So if I just I think you have to solve it for all, and you have to journalize this one. Okay, so that is also, you can do this. Okay, so that the question to your answer, I also given you another example. Have any doubt, again you just shout it, I will again explain it. Okay, so again the next one is your init operator. Init operator is a very simple operator, and always in the init operator you remember this term that is specifically called a prefix. Okay, so what you do, you just take a, I just explain you with example. I do not want to bore you with definitions. Most of the definitions are very complex to understand, but if I just give you an example, you will easily understand it. Okay, so now for this L, if I just take something like this, A, this is the language that given, A, B, B. Okay, so now what I do, whatever is the prefix of this string. So just before telling what exactly is the prefix, just let me tell you what is the prefix. Suppose take some name, like name any name, like uh, just take my name also. So this is my name, and what exactly are the prefix of this particular string. So you can extract the prefix. Prefix is the starting string. So again, the from starting from this starting string, you will get epsilon always in your set. Epsilon will always be included in the set. Keep that in mind. Again, the first prefix that can be included in the set, that can be your S. The next prefix can be included in the set, that is your SI, and another prefix that can be included in the set is your SIM. And I think you are getting the point here. So this is the set of prefixes that is available in this language set. I just call it a language set, and this kind of a language set, these kind of a prefixes are available. Okay, so now in this clearly you see this is only one language. This is only one language, and there are there is only one string, that is Simran. And to take a prefixes of this string, you will get a multiple strings here. Okay, so now in this one there are multiple strings here. So that is AB. So you have to take it one by one. So what is exactly the prefix of this A? That is your epsilon as well as your A. Okay, so now what exactly is the prefix of this AB? That is your epsilon, then your A, then your AB. Okay, so now what exactly is the prefix of this AABB? That is your epsilon, then your A, then your AA, then your AAB, then your AABB. Okay, so I think all of you are completed, but I cannot include this in a set, because in a set the number of strings, the number of the elements present in that is not repeated. Okay, so just pardon me, I just include this is not in the form of set. These are just the prefixes, so just I denote this with a bracket. So include this in the language set. You will have to write it like epsilon. You will get a from here, and then AB from here, and then epsilon is already there. So just I cancel it out, epsilon, 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 and then A is included. So all the A's, remaining A's are excluded from here. Now AB is included. So AB is included. Any other AB? I don't think any other AB is there. Now then our AA is in that set, and then our AAB is in the set, and then our AABB. So the language set for init operation, if I apply any init operation on a particular language, you will get a language set like this. So this is based on prefixes. So the suffixes are a different, little bit different from this one. Suffixes you will start from the what do you say from backwards. Okay, for suffixes, if I just give you example, that will your N, and then it will be your NA, and then it will be your NAR, something like this. You get the point here. And again, there is another thing I think you have studied, is that something is called a subsequence. Okay, so subsequence is a totally different thing from these prefixes and suffixes. So suppose if I take example of suffixes, subsequence based on the same thing, and that can be, it should be in increasing order. It can be S, it can be SM also, it can be SRA also, but it should be in the form of increasing order. So this is the example I just want to give it to you for some subsequence. So do not confuse this. If you read data structure, there I think you have studied the algorithm in dynamic programming, more specifically called, I think, least sequence subsequence analysis, common subsequence, something like this, subsequence algorithm. Okay, so that is your subsequence, and that do not confuse this subsequence with prefixes and suffixes. So these are continuous letters, and there you can skip one or more letters, but it should always be in the increasing order. So this cannot be a subsequence. If I do this M, and after that I write I, this is not in the increasing order. This is decreasing here. So the subsequence will always be in the increasing order, but you can skip some words from the subsequence. Okay, so that is the example of subsequence. Similarly, I think now if you see the clearly, you can see the language to make. Okay, so I think you can easily, this is again, init operator is again closed under the automata. I think the what you do, you just okay, so again, I think I'm finding some pattern here. Look, if I try a for automata of this language, what exactly will be the automata? So A is acceptable. So A is acceptable here. So this is the A, and B is also acceptable. Yeah, I think B is also acceptable. AB is acceptable. Now another one is A AABB. Now I just write it like A, then I want two B's. Okay, so AABB. Now just let me see that it is correct or not. AAB. Okay, so AA. If I do this, AABB. Oh, I think I do not need to create that state. If I just reverse this one, okay, A, B, B, you will get it. So all the three strings are accepted. A is acceptable, AB is acceptable, AAB, and B is also acceptable. But AAB is not acceptable. Why are we accepting AAB? So just let me again set this one, and it can be. Just let me think. AAB. What can I do? Okay, so AAB is not in the language. So what I can do this one. A A double A is also not in the language. So what can I do? AAB is in the string. So AAB. So I have to do it the hard way, I think. AAB B. Now AA, sorry for that, B and B. So something like this, I think the automata will be this. NFA will look like this. This is not a final state because AB is in the language. Yeah, okay, so that is in the language. But if I just write double AB, but it is also accepting AAB. Okay, so just let me see. There is something. I think I can find a pattern here. Just what can I do? Just divert the string. I have to make a string where there is no final state, and that B, that is should not be a final state, and AABB. Okay. So now what do I define here? Double A. So I can define anything here. AAB. Okay, so just I define something like this. Okay. AABB. Okay. So I think I saw some pattern here, but I'm wrong here. So just let me think that I think that there is some kind of a pattern exists there, but I'm not. I'm wrong here. Okay. So by I think I was thinking that by drawing automata I will get something out of it, but let me again. I will just hold it for there. I will again, if I find the pattern here, I think that there is some pattern between this and this one. Just I have to find it. Okay, so I will tell you about this one in the class. Just hold for a little bit of time because it is taking a little bit of time. I know that there is some kind of a pattern there. Okay, so now again, as it is closed under this language, you can again say that init operator, this language, if for this language, this is a regular language because this is a finite set, and this is also a regular language because this is also a finite set. Uh, if just let me see. Yeah, this is also a regular language because this is also finite set. So you can easily draw automata for that. Okay. So again, regular language is closed under this init operator. So I just want to show you that how init operator behaves. So that is the sole purpose of it. So most of the operators you will be seeing are already closed under regular languages. So why I'm showing you, because I just want to completely tell you that what are the different kind of operators. Generally, the in the table you have seen different operators. We will use only this, but still you should know about all of these operators. So again, and another operator that is called your substitution. Okay, so this is your final operator, substitution. Okay, so now this operator is very close to homomorphism. Okay, so what I say, I just write it so it will be more clear. For every language, I just write it like that. For every language, sorry, for every symbol, in the language, is replaced by other language, is replaced by another language. Let me just make sense of it. Is called your substitution. Okay, so I just denote it by S. Okay, so for every symbol in the language, if it is replaced by another language, for every symbol in the language, if it is replaced by another language, then it is called a substitution. And if you remember the definition of homomorphism, the definition of homomorphism was exactly look like this, but it is different. For every symbol in the language, if it is replaced by another string, so that is there is a difference here. So we are now replacing one language with another language, but in homomorphism we are replacing uh, uh, the language by a string. So that is only the difference, that is string of another language. Okay, so also include this, that this string of another L, and that is your homomorphism property. So that is only the difference. Okay, I will give you example to make it more understandable. So this is a formal definition. For every symbol in the language, if you can replace every symbol by another language, then it is called a substitution. Okay, so again, with the example, it will become more clear. So if I give you example here, example can look like this, that input alphabet here is your AB. So now in this input alphabet, the every symbol in the language. So suppose this is the symbol in the language, because input alphabet is A and B, the symbol in a particular language will only A and B. So suppose that that particular language is defined by A plus B star. Okay, so now what I do, I just substitute what I do, substitute, I take the symbol of this one. Suppose this, I take F of A and I replace it with another language. Okay, so the language like zero star is a language. Okay, so zero star is a language. You can take the string A and replace it by another language, and take the string B and replace by another language called another language called 0 plus 1 star. Okay, so keep that in mind. Again, single zero is a string here. Single zero is a string, but if I just raise it to the power of star, it will become a language. Okay, so because it is representing a ton of strings here. If I just talking about zero followed by a one, again this thing is only one string. But if I raise it to the power of star, now this is representing of strings. Okay, so if you remember, the set of string is called a language. Okay, so what I'm doing, I'm taking every symbol of the language, and I am replacing and I'm changing, or I am substituting it with another language. Okay, so this is also a language and this is also a language. So in the what you get after that, in the L you will get something like this: 0 plus 0 star plus 0 1 star whole raised to power a whole star. Okay, so now if you're clearly seeing it, this is also represented in the form of a regular expression. Okay, so that is kind of a regular expression, and you can, if a regular expression is possible, you can easily say that it can be closed under that part. Okay, so substitution is also closed under regular language. Keep that in mind. Almost all the operators are closed under. In case of only I'm talking about regular languages, all the operators are closed. Closure property, if you're saying, all the operators are closed under a regular language, but except only one string that I've told you, that is the exception. That is a very good exception, and that is your union and infinite union that is infinite. Okay, so keep that in mind. So simple union is not do not consider single union. So regular language is closed under single union, but consider infinite union. So in infinite union, the regular language is not closed under it. Okay, so now again I just want to show you about some properties of regular. Now there are some properties of decidable properties. Okay, so just I tell you decidable properties of regular languages. Okay, so there are again many decidable properties. I will just tell you about the properties. Just let me take a minute. Oh, sorry for that. I just wait for a minute. I think I find where is it? Okay, so just wait for a minute. These are the decidable property table, and this is okay. Oh, I think I just turn off the shared button. Sorry for that. Okay. So decidability of RL, I will tell you what exactly is the meaning of it. So if you see, this is the table. I will again upload the table. There are various problems that comes under decidable. So it is asking that the particular string W belongs to a language. Is this problem solvable, or is this problem decidable under regular language, context-free language? This, don't worry about that part. I am only talking about regular. Okay. So we are clearly seeing in almost all of the strings, you are seeing that regular language is D. It is denoted by D. So this problem is denoted by D. This is D. This is D. This is D. All of the problems that are listed in the table are all written as D. Now the meaning of D means it is decidable. Okay, so now I want to tell you that what exactly is the meaning of decidability. Okay, so now it is very simple to explain this decidable properties. If you have studied complexity theory in algorithms, you will find that there is something called a P problem and there is something called a NP problem. So what exactly is a P problem? So P problem, that if that problem is solved under polynomial time. Okay, so polynomial time is simple complexity. You have seen that that the simple complexity, like o raised to power n the square, like something like this, that is your in the form of polynomial. But if it becomes, if the complexity looks like this, that o raised to power n raised to power n, something like this, or 2 raised to power n, so that is also not a polynomial complexity. So if you're seeing 2 raised to power n, that doubles after every number of times, so this is exponential growth, and this is also exponential growth. So it does not come under P problems. Okay, so that comes under NP problems. So now again my I just want to clarify one thing, that when I tell you about Turing machines. Okay, so when I tell you about Turing machines, it will be more relatable than when I'm talking about the decidable properties in general. Okay, so now when I'm only talking about decidable properties in concern of a regular language, so I'm not covering all the parts. If you are saying that there are also decidable properties that exist for other languages, that here it is written DCLF, CFL, CSL, RC, RECL and REL. Don't worry about that part right now. So just concentrate on this one. So that is always, I just again I will tell you some properties of this one, and after that, after the Turing machine is completed, I will again repeat that part. So don't worry about that. Okay. So all the properties that are given, the problems that are given are very different, and it is easily understandable by just reading the statement. It is just saying that does W, that a particular string belongs to a language. Okay, it is asking that a particular string belongs to a language. Is this language decidable or not? Okay, so what is exactly is the meaning of decidable? It is just asking that that is solvable. What I want to tell you, that is there a algorithm exist? If there a algorithm exists, then any problem is decidable. So that is a very simple meaning of decidable. If there is no algorithm exist to identify something, that problem is not identified. So that is a very, I just oversimplified the concept of decidable property. You can directly call it, if for any particular problem. Okay, so if I'm talking about the first problem in this particular language, that W belong to a language L. So if there is a particular algorithm exist, yeah, there is a particular if I just talk about this, that just let me take example. So suppose the problem that is concerned here is W, the W can be anything. That W belongs to a particular language. Okay, so suppose the language is written and it is an infinite language. Okay, so I have to take care of that this W belongs to this language or not. Oh, is there particular kind of a algorithm exist to identify that a particular string belong to the language? So you know about this. So that is what your DFA is. What it is exactly an algorithm that identifies that a particular string belongs to the language. So that is why in form of a regular language, that is a decidable problem. Okay, so all the if I'm talking about all the problems, if you are seeing in this table, that is understandable. So is L belongs to null, it means it is asking about that if the language is completely not accepting anything, so that is also decidable. So it means that if there exists a particular algorithm in regular language for identifying that a particular language belongs to a null set, then you can directly say that that problem is decidable. If there is no particular algorithm exist for that, you can directly call it that property is not decidable. So that is also called your UD. And in the table, if you look, that UD denotes undecidable. Okay, so keep that thing in mind. I think I also written at the end, so no, not written. So here the D means decidable and UD means undecidable. So if you are seeing in regular languages, all the properties that are written here are all decidable. Okay, so it means that all the algorithm exists for identifying it. Okay, so I do not want to complicate things. I just remember that part, that if there is some kind of an algorithm exists for a particular problem that is given to you, then you can directly say it that it is decidable if there is no algorithm exists. So don't worry about that part. We have to identify that it's a polynomial and non-polynomial. Don't worry about that. When I do Turing machine, I will tell you about all of these things and I will relate the complexity with the Turing machine. So don't worry about that. Okay. So now the first property that I want to tell you about, it is also written in the slide here. So just let me show you. I will tell you about only three properties and I will show you that there are algos that are already employed for that one. So first one is your empty properties, emptiness problem. So emptiness problem say that if the second property that we have studied, that if L is a empty set or not. Okay, so that infinite automata is decidable here. So the steps are written here. Select the state which are not reachable from initial state and delete the okay, so I just take example so it will be more understandable to you. So just take another take any string, something like that kind of example. uh, Suppose like this. Okay, why I reverse the arrow from there and take it from there. Okay, so now again, so we suppose that this is final state. Now select the state which are not reachable from the initial state and delete those state. Okay, select the state which state is not reachable from the initial state, 1, 2, 3 and 4. If you clearly see this arrow here is reverse from this one, and you cannot reach the state 4 from the initial state. So you can reach to 2 state, you can reach to 3 state, but you cannot reach to the 4th state. So what you do, you just delete that state, and also the corresponding transition should also be deleted. So this is the corresponding transition that are originating from this state. So delete this corresponding transition. Now the second step is the in the remaining FA, if we find at least one final state, that the language accepted by given FA is non-empty. Okay, so now the remaining automata looks like this, that there is no final state in this one. If you are clearly seeing, there is no final state in this one. Okay, so again, you can directly say that if there is no final state, you can say that this language except this language is empty. Empty means if by looking at this automata, if you write a language, you will get nothing because there is not a single final state here. There is no single final state here. Okay, so that is the algorithm that exists for this. So again, emptiness property, you can easily identify that a particular string is empty or not by just looking at it. Okay, so again, if still it is not deleted, you just give a string, and if that strings go to the final state, then it means that something is coming in that language. Okay, so you can also go with like this, but there is specific steps of there is specific steps of instruction exist that is called the algorithm. So algorithm exists for this emptiness problem. So that is why I'm saying that for a particular language, a particular problem, if an algorithm exists, you can directly call that this problem is decidable. Okay. In the similar way, if I take another problem, that is your infiniteness. So it is talking about is if a language, if a particular language is infinite or not. Okay. So I think most of you can easily identify by looking at the finite automata that a particular language is finite or not. It is if it is visible that if there is some kind of a loop exist in the language, you can easily say that that a particular language is finite. Okay, so for that part also again, only consisting of loop does not means that it will always be a infinite problem. Suppose some kind of language set exists like this, that like this one. Okay, so a it goes to the it goes to some final state, this one a to a something like this. And now if you clearly see in this one a loop exists. Okay, so I can call that the loop exists, but if you clearly see, if you write the language for it, this language is only accepting a, so it is not an infinite language set. So uh, so by thinking that only by taking a look at the loop, it does not means that it all does not always means that a particular language is infinite. Okay, so I show you the case that here the loop exists, but this language is not infinite. So you have to make sure that the loop should also the looping will also go towards the final state. Okay, so if it is going towards the final state, then I am only sure then the language is infinite. Okay, so now for that one also there is some kind of algorithm exist here. So I just take an example like this one. Okay, so I think that that example is sufficient for this one. So this is your final state, and this is a good example, I think, because it is also showing that that by loop you cannot say that the language is infinite. So you do not think about anything, you just go with the algorithm, and you do not know about that a particular automata, this automata is a infinite or not. Okay, so just see, remove the states which are not reachable from the initial state. I don't think that anything is not reachable. So I for instruction set, I also add another language that is not reachable from the initial state, something like this a, and it is going to be okay. So this I just write the language 1 2 3 4. So fourth state is not reachable from this, so you just deleted this, and the transition so also deleted. So the remaining one is this. Now the second step, delete the states and the corresponding transition from which we cannot reach the final state. Okay, so where cannot you reach this? From 1 you can reach the final state. From 3 I don't think you can reach the final state. Okay, so from 3 you cannot reach the final state, so delete this as well as its corresponding transitions. Okay, delete the state and the corresponding transition, I've deleted it. And in the similar way, in the remaining finite, if we find at least, so that is at least one loop and one final state, one loop and one final state, then that is infinite. So it means that the language is infinite. Okay, so I don't think I am not finding that there is no loop, but there is a final state. So again, this language is not infinite. You can clearly see this because there is no loop. So again, there is an algorithm exists for this. So you can again say that infinite is decidable for a particular language. That is your R. That is your infiniteness. Last property is equivalence. I will only tell you about three properties. You should take a look at the table. I don't think that all the properties are easily understandable by looking at it. That is L1 is a subset of L2. Don't worry about that. So because in context of regular language, all the properties are decidable. So you just go with through all the properties. I'm just explaining you a few of it. Okay, so I will only explain three properties, but it is understandable by just taking a look at it. Why I explained the properties of regular languages, because by looking at the name you will not understand exactly what is happening. But I don't think that equivalence property, by looking at the name of it, I think you can easily understand. It means that if is L1 is equal to L1, so L2, if this is the question asked here, it is again decidable under one. So what can you do? You can take a DFA and draw a DFA from this language. So if you want to go with the algorithm, So algorithm can be, you take, because this is a regular language, because I'm only talking about the regular language here. So this L1 is regular. So I can draw a DFA for this L1, and I can draw a DFA for DFA2 for this L language L2. So what I do, I just do minimize both of these algorithms. Okay. After minimization, if I just say DFA1 is equal to DFA2, then you can directly say that this L1 is equal to L2. So if you want to go see the language, if you want to see the algorithm, then you can also see that there is also algorithm exists that specify this problem. Okay. So these are the three main decidable properties. Other you should see it for yourself on the table. I will upload the table. Don't worry about that. Okay. So now with that, just let me share the syllabus to you also. I think with that part we have completed two modules of our automata. Okay, so if you're seeing the conversion of DFA to regular expression, we have already done it, and this is the part where various recent development in the construction of regular expression to NFA. Okay, so you have to see it for yourself, that is there's any other method, recent method that comes in that part. So that part is, I have given you some topics to read it for yourself. Okay, so because I have already told you that some methods that there exist, I think in the conversion of regular language to NFA we have done Thompson construction method, I think. Yeah, so there are also other methods that if you remember, I have shown you that by using a Thompson construction method, what is the problem here? Firstly, we get a epsilon NFA in most general cases. Then we have to convert it into NFA. Then we have to convert it into DFA. And then we have to convert it, minimize it, and then we convert it, minimize DFA. That is the problem there. There are other methods. One or two methods exist that by applying that method, you can directly go towards DFA. So I think, you can directly go towards the NFA. So that deletes that extra effort that is done in the Thompson construction method. Also, if you are saying Thompson construction method is kind of a limited method, there are many conditions attached to it. Okay, so one or two methods exist. I think you should explore this yourself. I will again share you the link if you want, but apart from that, I think you should explore that part. Okay, so now all the things, if you are seeing in the syllabus, are already till here all the things are completed. So for application of finite automata, the application of finite automata is given in the first lecture. If you remember in the tutorial part, that you will also find the PPT in the in there. If you find what you call it LMS, at the first PPT is of the applications of finite automata. So you just take a look at it also. Okay. So again, the limitation of finite automata is, you know about this. The limitation is that it cannot contain a memory portion in that port. Okay. So properties, we have already seen properties, the regular properties, you remember. Again, the regular property is also given. Don't think it is given here. It is given in the third module. Okay. So now it is again, the next portion is again starting with directly a context-free grammar. Okay, so again we have extra time. I do not want to start with context-free grammar, because without understanding how to derive a regular grammar, I don't think you should directly jump into a context-free grammar. Okay, so one lecture I will devote this to the extraction of regular grammar. After, if you understand the regular grammar, I think context-free grammar becomes very simple. So don't worry about that part. Okay, so now I think your time is up and you can move on to the next lecture, and thank you for listening. If you have any doubt, you can ask me. Just I stop the